The first person that I don't know gave me the inner strength that I needed to overcome or to be able to think about overcoming the tremendous odds that were against me. Came from China to see me at Yardville Prison. I was in that prison. I was put in a maximum security unit in front of and the cell between two gun towers that could train their guns directly on the cell. I was told that I was in the Yardville unit for women, even though I was the only woman. And they tried to keep me there for the rest of my life. My grandmother came to visit me there to tell me a dream. And she came with all of my family, and everybody was happy. And I'm like, what's happening with y'all? You're in this. No, she had a dream. She had a dream. And I was like, okay. And dressing me that she was in an old house that she lived in when she lived in New York still. And she was putting clothes on me. I said, is that the dream? She said, that's the dream. And I said, well, was I little or big? She said, no, you were big. So I said, oh my God, the only time people dress anybody when they're grown is when they're dead. And so she said, no, I know what you're thinking. No. What this dream means is that you are going to leave this prison. I don't know when, but it's going to be much less time than you've already spent here. And, I didn't understand the dream, to be honest. It didn't make any sense to me. What does this have and wearing clothes have to do with getting out of prison? But my grandmother has always had dreams, and her dreams have always come true.
I don't know how my mother walked her trouble down. I don't know how my father stood his ground. I don't know how my people survived slavery. I do remember, that's why I believe. I don't know why the rivers go below their banks. I don't know why the snow falls and covers the ground. I don't know why the hurricane sweeps through the land every now and then. Standing in a rainstorm, I believe.
Many people say that injustice and hunger are walking freely all over the universe, and that nature is seeking a response.
Oh, yeah, day, body, body.
The moon and the sun once asked the earth, "Where are the women warriors?" The earth responded, "They have been scattered all over the world, but they can always be identified by the beauty in their eyes, which reflects the dignity and the greatness of the rainbow. Nevertheless," continued the earth, "they suffer greatly, often much more than what is commonly endured by a human being. Why?" Then the moon and the sun responded energetically, "We have to look for them. We have to bring them together, because it is only women warriors who know how to survive in the midst of so much suffering, struggling, struggling, struggling."
I come from a tradition of women maroons, cimarrons, who didn't just try to escape from oppression, but were totally mind, body, spirit committed to resisting and committed to winning, whether was Nanny in Jamaica, who fought against the enslavers, whether it was Harriet Tubman, who helped to free more than 700 slaves. I think I come from a very strong history, and I simply want to live on this planet and to continue that tradition and to try in my little way to make my ancestors proud. I want to live in a country where freedom means something. Well, when I came to Cuba, I really didn't know what to expect. I had these like crazy images because even though I considered myself a socialist, I considered myself someone who really identified with the Cuban Revolution. I had been raised on a diet of anti-communism. And so I came here and I was like expecting, first of all, everybody to look like Fidel. I thought everybody was going to wear green fatigues and stuff. It was just like a crazy thing. And I thought people would be talking like the revolution. I just had these crazy stereotypes. And then when I came, it was like, wow, a whole new world. The first thing that hit me was, just how beautiful the nature is here. Whether it's the sea, whether it's the plants. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. Everything is so lush, so green, so ripe. And, just the climate made me immediately feel at home. I was very much impressed by the healthcare system, by the education system, by the sports teams, by all of the many things that the revolution has been able to accomplish. What has impressed me most has been how people live, just how people relate to each other. I come from a society that is literally at war with itself. I didn't even know how to react to people when I came here. People would just come off the street and start talking to me, and I would immediately get paranoid. What do they want? It was very difficult for me to realize. Somebody would say, what time is it, or where did you buy that? Because Cubans will come up to you and just talk to you. Whether you were in a store or on a line, and that was something very different. That human contact. I was born in 1947 in New York City. Uh, I lived with my mother and my aunt and my grandparents in a house in Queens, New York, in Jamaica, Queens. Um, and I stayed there until I was about 3 or something. And I went with my grandparents to live in Wilmington, North Carolina. My grandparents decided to go back to Wilmington because Wilmington was their home. And because also they wanted to open up a small business. They had saved all their money hoping to go back to Wilmington, and they did go back, and they opened up a small business on the beach by the sea. It They opened the business because at that time Wilmington was completely segregated. Well, the South was just totally segregated. It was a apartheid. Um, what that meant was that there were black schools. For example, I went to a all black school, the Gregory School. Uh, there were the black library. You know, we grew up with that kind of reality of uh, not voluntarily living like that, not voluntarily accepting apartheid, but understanding that the price of stepping out and or standing up alone could possibly be death. From slavery, the idea of a political prisoner started. We were political prisoners brought here from Africa. We were political prisoners in it. Um, uh, in order to keep colonialism fat, in order to keep the plantation owners that profited from our sweat and labors, we were kidnapped and brought here as prisoners, and our status hasn't changed, whether it's on the streets. We're prisoners of the ghettos uh, in Harlem. We're prisoners in small tenements. We're prisoners of urine smelling hallways. And I mean, I've always been a prisoner. I've never been free in my life. I don't know what freedom means. Sitting in this place on this plantation, you know, you think back to what those slaves had to deal with, and that probably the only beauty that they saw was the human beauty between them and the beauty of the sky and of the trees and of the grass. And I think that probably helped them to survive, to stay alive, internally, spiritually. Growing up, you know, by the sea and seeing the beauty of this planet, it was hard not to really have a profound respect for this planet, for nature. My grandmother, she could not stand people throwing paper on the floor. I mean, she could not take that. That was a crime for her because what and then, she would say, look at these grown people. What's wrong with their hands? They can't hold the paper until they find a trash can. I think that how we live in this earth is very much tied to how we think about nature. And so I think that it's important for African people and all people who appreciate living to make sure that our children and our grandchildren have a planet that is livable. And that means to make very serious changes in the order of uh, the priorities and the politics that exist today. Being African is not uh, a a matter of race. It's a matter of a history, of a culture, of a struggle of a people. And the important thing is to be able to remember that, not to be disassociated from that, not to be torn from that, to carry that on into the future and to carry that on in changing the future. One of the most shocking things when I came to Cuba was just how African Cuba is. I mean, I didn't realize that there were this whole huge number of African people on this island. I had no idea because the projection is very different. How you are taught to think about Cuba in the U.S. media. So I was really shocked, and then I began to be exposed to the culture, and the culture is so rich, whether it's in dance, whether it's music. It's so African. There's the rhythm, there's the drums. I began to be aware of just how much they had robbed us in the United States, because the slavery, the kind of slavery that existed here was terrible and equally as terrible in the United States, but people were able to keep their religions, their gods, their heart piece language. They were able to maintain dances, rituals that were directly from Africa. And for the first time in my life, I became acquainted with the Orishas, with Yemaya, Shango, Obatala, and I felt like, wow, I was reclaiming just another piece that was stolen from.
Yagumagarere, Abata. Erosi Baba Garere, Yagumagarere, Alatarije. Erosi Baba Garere. Moro coro como temero, modena que momo temaka. Moro coro como temero, modena que momo temaka. Otani mamatara, eroni mamarora. Lawe de lorun teriki lorun apeleya. Takake misa okuroba, boba ena yemata que yana yo. Moro coro como temero, modena yemomo temata. Moro coro como temero, modena yemomo temata. Otani mamatara, Elohi mamarora. Yahweh Elohim seriki loru apeleya. Sakaki misa okuroba, ubalena yemata ke yana yana eri omo.
The Black Panther Party came under the guns of the FBI, as did all of the Black Liberation Movement. It didn't matter what positions you took. It mattered that people related to those positions, that people understood what you were saying, that people supported you. And I think that when J. Edgar Hoover and those who control the United States government understood how many young people looked to the party for leadership, how many young people were inspired by the Black Panther Party, how many young people supported the activities of the Black Panther Party. And it was, people, just ordinary street people, working people, mothers, grandmothers who would come to the office and bring clothes, come to the office and make donations. So the government just perceived us as a threat because they understood that we were serious. They understood we were telling the truth. And they understood also that we were becoming a much more sophisticated opposition. We were not just the piece of pie opposition, but that we wanted a real structural change in the United States. And so we took very clear positions. We opposed the United States government intervention in Vietnam. We opposed the blockade against Cuba and all of the other U.S. policies that were hostile to the Cuban Revolution. We opposed the United States policies of supporting apartheid in South Africa. We opposed all of the U.S. government's imperialist policies against all progressive people's struggles. By the 1960s, the late end of the 1960s, the Black liberation movement became the main target of the counterintelligence program. And what they did was to try to neutralize all of our leaders, to prevent young people from coming together and uniting. And so what they did is try to pit organization against organization. They tried to pit leaders in the same organizations against each other. In New York, where I was, what they did was they arrested in, I think it was 1968, 1967, 1968. I'm not very clear on the date. I don't remember it at this moment. They arrested on charges of conspiracy 21 of our most effective activists, of our most effective leaders. As a movement, have to concentrate a lot of our energies on trying to liberate our imprisoned comrades. And even though they were given bail, the bail was $100,000 a piece. And only a few of them we were able to bail out. I think that we cannot look at the Black Panther Party in the past. We cannot look at the Black liberation movement as something in the past. African people are still not free, and there are still many, many political prisoners in the United States. It is time for us to demand total, immediate amnesty for all political prisoners and prisoners of war. If we do not take ourselves seriously, if we do not take our movement seriously, then we will have to hang our heads in front of our ancestors.
Baba Ochosi, Ayeloda, Omolote. Ochosi, Ayeloda, Omolote. Baba Ochosi, Omayeloda, Omelote. Ochosi, Ayeloda, Omolote. Wole, wole. Ote mata, ote, ote. Iwole. Ote mata, ote, ote. Wole, wole. Baba Ochosi, Omayelota, Omelomeote, Ochosi, Ayilota, Omolote, Yambele Inoro, de Mata Colona, 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 de Pao de Mata, Iguara, Ayochoso de Mata, Iguara, y de Pao de Mata, Iguara, Ayochoso de Mata, Iguara, Ayochoso de Mata, Iguara, y de Pao de Mata, Iguara, Ayochoso de Mata, Iguara, y de Pao de Mata, Iguara, Ayochoso de Mata, Iguara, y de Pao de Mata, y de Pao de Mata, Iguara, Ayochoso de Mata, Iguara, y de Pao.
Where I was kept for in a room, isolated for something like 4 or 5 days. I was beaten, tortured. It was a hellish experience. No one was permitted to see me. My aunt, who is also my lawyer, Evelyn Williams, had to get a court order for her and my mother and my sister to come and see me. I was in prison altogether 6.5 years. I spent more than 2.5 years in solitary confinement. Much of that was in men's prisons. In other words, I was the only woman. Even though they say that there are no political prisoners in the United States, I was kept in solitary confinement, kept in men's prisons because of my political beliefs. So you figure that one out. What it was prison. Prison was hell. It was a new kind of plantation. I feel like a maroon woman. I feel like an escaped slave because what I saw in the United States in those prisons was slavery. It was black people with chains in cells. It was just poor people, just stepped on and smashed. I'll never forget what I saw. I'll never forget what I've lived through. I'll never forget what my people have lived through.
Irabona de kuna kuede piosu mowilori mowilora ogamba eche alamono yefa.
We started to, I don't know, to feel tender toward each other. We started to feel an attraction, to feel like human beings again, I guess is the word for it. And the subject of sex came up, and we thought about it, and we talked about it. And it was really heavy. It was a heavy, heavy thing because, I didn't know how to feel. Because so much that was around us was like slavery, it was like very clear they were out to wipe us out. And it was real. It wasn't any fantasy, wasn't any joke. They were out to take our heads. And, I felt like a slave. I'm sure he must have felt just like a slave. And we said, well, how could we even think about bringing a child into this world? But then what other world is there to bring a child in? I mean, the world is a terrible place. And, I thought about my mother, my grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmothers, and what they must have thought about as slaves, bringing life into this world. And we just decided that we were going to live. We were going to live, we're going to struggle, and we're not going to kill our own hopes. We're not going to kill our own life. We're not going to kill our right to live. And so we just decided to be human beings, to be people. In spite of all the people that were trying to squash us down and all the forces that were trying to dehumanize us, we decided to be human.
mate mate. Ala mate mate.
The day before it was time to escape, I called my grandmother, and I couldn't call her, and say, I'm getting ready to escape. And so she said, I want to tell you something. Are you listening to me? Yes, grandmother. I don't want you to get used to that place. Don't get accustomed to that place. Do you hear me? Yes, grandmother. Are you sure you hear me? Yes, grandmother. I do not want you getting used to that place. Do you hear me? Yes, grandmother. And so when I hung up the phone, it was like a sign. It was like, my grandmother knew. It was like everything was ready to go, and everything went fine. I think that the only way that we're going to realize freedom, justice, equality, decent living for people is if there's a complete change. Everything has got to be turned around, and that's a revolution, a complete change. Separation has been very hard on my family. I'm sure in other eras, I don't know, after slavery, people went around looking for their family, looking for the marks that they put on their children. So I'm sure there's a lot about my family's separation and the pain that I don't know, whether it's in the coast of Africa or the coast of some island in the Caribbean or in the United States. Separation is a real part of being African in the Americas, being slaves or ex-slaves. In my own case, prison has meant separation, exile has meant separation, and well, I'm gonna be real right now because I can't be any other way. Today, my mother died, and I didn't know if I could do this, but since I didn't have anything else to do, and I figured this was the best homage I could pay to my mother, is to try to carry on her tradition, what she passed down to me, what my grandmother passed down to her, and what their foremothers passed down to them. I hope that I can live up to my mother's example, and I hope I can live up to my ancestors' expectation of me, because I really believe that I have a duty to all those who have come before me, to all those who lie at the bottom of the ocean, to all those who lost their lives, whether it's in the cane fields or the cotton fields or, hanging off some tree, to continue this struggle and to continue to love and to continue to believe and to continue to try to be human, to be giving, to be loving.
despite while others celebrate. It is only they who see the dreadful colors of suffering. It is only they who perceive where the intense splendor of victory is to be found. Because warrior women are the eyes of the rainbow, the eyes of the rainbow, the eyes of the rainbow.
My name is Assata Shakur. Assata means she who struggles. Olugbala means for the people, and Shakur means the thankful. It is a name that I took to carry on the name of Zaid Malik Shakur in honor of his family and in honor of the forces of beauty and good on this earth, which I'm very grateful for. That is my name.
Hello, everyone. Hello. We have wrapped up another stream. Oh, my goodness. This was extremely awesome. Thank you so much to everyone that has tapped in with us and enjoyed the stream with us. I really hope you enjoyed Eyes of the Rainbow, a documentary film with Assata Shakur. Okay. So we are going to get started with our after discussion. Okay. Going to get beautiful worksheet that is also available in our Patreon community. Okay, so if you would like to have access to this worksheet, you can definitely let us know if you need help with the worksheet. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat here. But as I get this prepared for us, I just want to know what you all thought about our presentation. You can share it in the chat. Let us know where you're checking in from. Okay. Oh, let me see here. Are we good? We still good, everything? Oh, I see. You have your shades on. I'm outside with my daughter. She's showing me her shades. All right, all right. Let me see here. Let's see. We have a comment in the chat. I love this. Ashe, absolutely. Ashe, Ashe. And thank you all of you again for joining us. I felt that this definitely needs to be watched. I admire Miss Assata Shakur. I really do. Her fight, resilience, okay, her whole story. I have her book, and I want to share that with you all as I get our worksheet pulled up. Her beautiful book, okay, it's on our recommended books list. So I'm going to share that with you, and I'll also share it in the chat as well. So let me get all of these beautiful links prepared for all of you. But yes, definitely make sure you look into the books here, okay? So, Assata, her autobiography, okay, that book is there. We also have other ones that I highly recommend you all watch as well. We're going to be going into the story of Amir Abu Jamal, and with that, and Mr. Minister Huey P. Newton, Revolutionary. Fire this time was about the Watts uprising. Okay, so you could check that one out as well. That's a recommended book. Let's get this going. I'm gonna check you all's comments out in the chat. Okay. All right. So I have our worksheet pulled up here. So again, we're just going to go over a little bit of the worksheet while we are live, and you can share your feedback in the chat. We would love to hear about it. If you know the answers, you can definitely share them in the chat as well. All right, and we truly appreciate your reviews. So if you have the time, you can tag us from Instagram, okay, or you can tag us from Facebook, and let us know how you enjoyed the stream. You enjoyed the information. Did you find this valuable? I would love to share some of the comments that we received from our Facebook group, our homeschool and co-op resources group. Very beautiful information. A mother shared with us how she shared this particular documentary with her daughter. Her daughter was at around the age of 6 or 7, and she shared this information with her about Assata Shakur, and she said it changed her life. She actually graduated high school early, but her mother shared this political education with her, and her daughter found it truly inspiring. So, yes, I highly recommend you share this with your babies as well. Sit with this as a family and let's get to know our our revolutionary activists, our fighters, our freedom fighters. Let's get to know them, okay? We talk about them through Black History Month. But there's so much more that we need to know, and we need to honor them every day on their birthdays, their birthright day, every day. Okay, make this normal to talk about them just as much as we talk about these other so-called people in the seats. Okay, I'm not gonna get all into the name calling, but y'all know what I'm talking about. All right, and here's our worksheet here. So learning from Assata Shakur. So we have our vocabulary words here. Oh, before we get into this, let's check out this comment here. The documentary was so inspiring and so insightful and brought to awareness where we stand as people, as a people. Yes, yes, Ashe, and where we should seek to stand. Absolutely, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Definitely need to know the black print, okay, not the blueprint, the black print. You need to know these things that our ancestors have laid down, the spirits that have walked this land that we need to call on to again. Call on to them and tell them we need their help along with the divine almighty. Okay, we need their help, we need their guidance, we need them to open up these roads. Ashe. So make sure you are doing that, practicing that, ancestral practices, traditions, okay, with your babies. All right. Going over political education like this so they are aware of what's going on. So your baby could be like that 6, 7 year old baby that a mother shared with me in our home school and co op Facebook group. All right. We want that for your baby as well, which is why we share this content with a purpose. We have a timeline activity here. Fill in correct years or details about Assata Shakur's life. So, what day was she born? Anybody know what day she was born? Yeah, I researched for the last live we had. Oh my God, we were all over the place. This is why you gotta do research, okay? But yes, where was she born? Okay. Now, let me see here. Join the Black Panther Party when? Okay, she has family in Winston-Salem, though. She has family in Winston-Salem. I also want to point out the fact that she practiced the Orishas. I saw a lot of that going on. But she was born July 16th, 1947. Okay, born in New York. All right. Now, I found out that, well, it says siblings Matulu Shakur. So, wow, we need to talk about his story too. Oh, yes, we need to talk about his story. Man, we're going to get all into this, okay? And the year that she published her autobiography, the year that she escaped from prison, she shared these beautiful years. So, you all can definitely go back into the stream, okay, the recording, and check out the answers there. Political education. What was the mission of the Black Panther Party? Long live the Black Panther Party and all of the beautiful fighters. Free them all political prisoners. Why did Assata join the Black Liberation Army, BLA? Why did she join them? Why do some people view her as a political prisoner? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. All right. And what can her story teach us about the role of women in liberation movements? Now, that's a good one to answer as well. I would love for you all to share your answers in the chat just to see where our people are at. Okay. When it comes to the revolution, where are you all at? You could definitely share your energy with us in the chat. Okay. And let's see now. Synthesis. What part of Assata Shakur's story stands out to you the most and why? Do you agree that Assata should be celebrated as a symbol of resistance? Hey, absolutely. Right on. How can young people today continue the work of liberation in positive and powerful ways? And of course, down here at the bottom, researching about the COINTELPRO, I highly recommend parents do with their children. Look at those files, they have been released, and look at all of the information that is being shared about the Did I mess up something here? Look into that. Know what they're talking about. That is important. Know the research. I was just looking at Emmett Till's FBI file. That thing it makes me cry because when you look at just how the fact, I was getting ready to say the facts. When you look at how all this took place day by day leading up to his death and everything that happened afterwards, it really does something to you. It really does. I know it does something to me, which is why the youth has a big space in my heart. And when we talk about Emmett Till, that does something to me. It really does. I cried a little bit, and it didn't do nothing but make me want to go even harder for the youth, and not just with education like math, science, and all of that, history, not just that, just spiritually be prepared, being aware, knowing who they are. It gets much deeper because you look at what they're doing, and me and a sister was just talking about this. When you look at what's going on with the youth, with our babies, it's not good. Okay, all of them, we focus on our African beautiful melanated people. Some of you are native to this land as well, but you still have a bloodline connected to the motherland, okay? But I want to say it just does not make any sense on what's going on. Now we're using things like AI to trap our children. They're using it to trap our children. So that's the way that we want to tackle what's going on. Okay, we got to tackle what's going on. We got to let the babies know how to use the right ammo for certain things. So when it comes to what they eat, they need to be aware of how to use that ammo to keep themselves healthy and strong, to live long. and stop eating junk that these people plant the seeds to trap you into some very negative health. Okay, when Miss Assata Shakur talks about what was going on around her and how they were not free, these are the things that she's talking about. Stuff is like the programs that you watch on TV. That's how they were not free, because they're downloading. When we watch this crap, we're downloading the trauma, the just the mess that's going on in society. That's why you only need to watch for so much of that stuff. Yes, be aware, but don't sit there and dwell in it, because they'll have you caught up in the matrix. This is how we are not free. The police brutality, that is definitely a mark, a scar. Being ripped from your mothers, from their arms to take care of another, that's terrible. Like, oh my God, I could really go into how we are not free and what Miss Assata Shakur was talking about. I could really go into it. We're going to get back into this worksheet. These are some discussions that we need to have in our Patreon as we have our community come together, community members. And the reason why we do a lot on our online program, we're building it up, is because we want to reach people globally. And limited resources can hold you up too, but you continue to work on them and ask the ancestors to provide you the way, because they see what you're doing and they know what needs to be said. They know what's going on, so they will help you open those roads. Okay, but I definitely want everybody to know, use your MO, get this knowledge. All right, get this knowledge, have these discussions, please. And as far as knowing how to use your MO, we have a beautiful content creator, our creator content with a purpose. We have that workshop coming up later this evening. So we would like for you all that are using, that's what I was trying to get into, back into AI. A lot of people agree and disagree with AI, but in these times, you have to know how to use it to send messages, to to know where these little pedophiles and whatnot, what they're using, to know how to identify them. Special shout out to my coach, Miss Panther Inc., for sharing that message with us about how a child left her home and took a Uber to miles, some port to Mexico, whatever. And the baby is there, 15-year-old, 16, something like that. You there, getting ready to be ported over with the COINTELPRO. No, I'm sorry, not COINTELPRO. The who was them people? Oh my God. Oh my Lord, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's not COINTELPRO. They're drug lords in Mexico. Oh my God, I cannot think of the name. But anyway, you're about to be trafficked over there to do what they need you to do. I cannot believe I cannot think of this name, because we used to live literally right near the border of Mexico. But they know what they're doing. So this is why we have to protect our babies. Our babies is coming up missing. So we have to keep them alert about what's going on, knowing how to identify the fraudulent crap that's going on in the internet. So yes, we are teaching our babies about this stuff and how to use it in the proper way and how to be aware. Okay, but Miss Assata, how she connects with all of this, because this is what she's talking about when we're talking about we're not free, when we have to fight against certain things, getting connected spiritually. Okay, resilience, no matter what, continue to move forward, fighting for the people, the safety of our people, education, agriculture, food. Agriculture, that right there is a big one for me. Like the fact that we have fake food that's about to be put in stores and going to be sold cheap while the real food going to be sold high, it bothers me. Like they really have it set up where you cannot get out. And then, I mean, you can, but they try to have, let's put that there. They try to have it set up where you cannot get out, but you can be resilient. You can fight against it and be like, no, not today, not never, not ever. Okay, we have that power within us. So if you didn't learn that from Mr. Assata Shakur watching this, hey, I'm telling you right now. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. You have it within you. Just get around folks like WE and all of our other beautiful We family members to help get that up out of you. Because we all have something we're going through, so we getting up out of it too. Okay? So we all free as a people, like she said. All right? But if no one else has any comments to share with us in the chat, I do want to say thank you again for stopping through with this stream. We will have more streams coming up as well, but we wanted to go ahead and make sure you knew that there is material after this beautiful film that we watched here. You can always come back to it. There is extended activity in our Patreon. And because school is also starting back, we will have our homeschool information in our Patreon as well. So we have the WE Pharmacy and Care. So everything that's dealing with gardening and knowing how to make your own medicines and all of that. And let me go ahead and, while I'm talking, put this stuff in the chat here so you can have it. All right, because we would love to see you over there, and you can join for free. Just want you to know. But if you would like to bump your membership, your tier, and we truly appreciate the support as we have you as tier members. Please believe, because this helps us keep things going for the family. All right, for everybody. All right, so I'm going to share this in the chat. We look forward to seeing you there. All right, and if you would also like to if you would like to share a love donation to WE for this beautiful live today, you can share a cash app at Witness the Elevation. Okay, we truly appreciate love donations also. And yes, we have a lot of beautiful worksheet packages coming together. So for each revolutionary that you learn about with us that we share, there will be a lesson plan to learn more about them, to gain your to build your political education. Each of them share a lesson. All right, and we want you to tap in with that, so that will be available in the Patreon for this school year. All right, tests will be included with it. Okay, and you see this worksheet here. We have many worksheets that we have shared after our presentations, and we want you all to be able to get a hold of those, because this is how we keep our freedom fighters, our political prisoners. This is how we keep their legacies going, keeping it, keep building it, keeping it alive, and honoring it. Okay, so make sure you tap in. All right, and we will have another stream. Let's see, for Black August, we have been doing our streams on Mondays at 11:30. So our last one for Black August is the 25th. All right, same time, 11:30. We have to close out strong. And I believe as we get into content creation, who better to talk about than Mumia Abu Jamal, okay? And Emory Douglas. I think Emory Douglas would be a good one. Thank you. Emory Douglas would be a great one for us to tap into as well. And these are the people that we will talk about in the content creation workshop, because these are also revolutionary artists. Okay, revolutionary artists that was creating content or media or articles, blogs for today's term, with a purpose. Okay, so as you all are creating, I want you to do it with a purpose. Okay, that is important, because who cares about likes? Who cares? That's not going to do nothing. If it's not moving nothing, if it's not helping to shut this system down, then hey, if you haven't impacted somebody's life with your story, then hey, I mean, but some people love that type of algorithm. But over here with WE, we not doing that. Okay, we're not doing that. So we're gonna highlight the contradiction on that when it comes to this media, and maybe we can get the youth to be tapped into some things that's more meaningful, that's going to help them be something bigger, and like bring out what they have in life to share. Okay, how their light shines for the people. If we had content that made a little bit more sense, their mindsets would be totally different. We wouldn't have these fraudulent federalist this people, I be coming up with words, in the White House. We wouldn't have this crap. We wouldn't have this foolishness. Oh my goodness. The music would be different. Back then, music was not talking about this trash that it's talking about. Oh my God. We groove to it. We move our heels, but do we like it? What tone does it set for the people? I mean, I'm just saying. I know we tap our feet, clap our hands. I know. I know. I know. I love it too. I know. But hey, balance. Y'all heard what Grandma we said. Balance. Balance. I'm finna go. I love y'all. And again, I appreciate you tapping in. This is Perry Charnel, your favorite gardenist, educator, and virtuality designer. Oh, did I share? I want to make sure I shared everything with you all in the chat. If I didn't, you will receive this information in our description. Okay. So no worries. Everything's going to be all right. All right. So I shared it in the chat there. I'll meet you all over there in our Patreon. And again, this is Perry Charnel, your favorite gardenist, educator, and virtuality designer. I will see you all next Monday for our beautiful stream at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you subscribe to Elevation Demonstrations YouTube. Okay, we stream. We got a lot more coming up for you all. Make sure you tap in on Mondays and Sundays and Mondays with Grandma Wee as she shares the word for the week, which I also shared with you all today, balance. Okay, make sure you do that. Make sure you catch her on Sundays for storytelling. And for excuse me, for Black August, she has definitely shared a lot of information on the history of the rebellion activity that took place in the 60s and 70s. Okay, she has really shared a lot of information. So you all make sure you check out our shorts as well, or our beautiful videos that we've published for you in her playlist. Okay. And then on certain days, we will just stream everything that we have done, that we have recorded, and we'll stream it over. All right. We about to be the next PBS Kids, better, I should say, because the people in the little White House, they shutting it down, right? PBS Kids. I know y'all heard about that. I know you have. They're trying to shut it down. So that's why we got to step in. WE Stream. Okay. Elevation Demonstrations. This is why we have to step in and give the people content that comes with purpose. Okay. But big shout out to PBS Kids, though. They had a lot of documentaries that they shared with us. Some of them in particular, All Eyes on the Prize. So, we appreciate the things that they did. They educated our babies. They had a Reading Rainbow. I love that. Reading Rainbow, Between Lions. We had all that beautiful stuff back then. But unfortunately, they want to shut it down. But I love y'all. Thank you for tapping in. This is Perry Chanel, and I'll see you all next Monday. Peace.